Did you know that physical exercise, sports, and team activities in general can have a positive impact on justice and the rule of law? I'm speaking with André Ross, who is the founder and chairperson of the Deep Sloot Mountain Bike Academy. André, you are an investment banker. What is the Deep Sloot Mountain Bike Academy, and how is it that you came to start this project?
So I grew up in South Africa in an area called the Cape Flats. It's a very low income area, and it was completely rife with drug dealing and gangsterism. So I'm one of the only sort of kids who made it out of that area and made it out of university. So I was the first one in my family to, for example, go to university. But why I give you that color is because if I go back, the key figures in my upbringing as a kid were sports coaches. So the first key figure is my athletics coach at school. If I think back to him, the earliest memory is when I participated in athletics. I didn't know I could run, and the feeling of achieving something when I won my first race and the way he responded to me and encouraged me just gave me an impetus to want more. So I've always just believed that sport is a mechanism to unlock within youth a self-awareness. Right now, not every child will have the DNA or the genetics to become a top flight professional athlete, and Lord knows I wasn't one and never good enough to be one. But what it left in me was an indelible feeling of there's more.
André Ross created the Deep Sloot Mountain Bike Academy as a vehicle for social change. The program offers sports and life skills training to youth in one of South Africa's most poverty-stricken areas. In essence, what you wanted to do was give back to your community in some way because you identified with the struggles that many kids are going through. What are some of these challenges?
So every young kid would want to have a better life, but very often what they would see close to them is you'd have your parents or the adults in the community who'd be engaged in lower LSM forms of employment. But very often those who have economic means tend to be living in the gray areas. They don't always tend to be living lives in the straight and narrow. So very often it could be a gang leader or someone who's involved in distribution of drugs, etc., like that. So those are also the guys who tend to get the street cred, right? So if you're growing up in a community where you have very little and you're fighting for self-worth or for a sense of nobility, seeing those types of data points of what is revered or what is respected is very often a destructive manifestation. So having access to good role models, and then secondly, having a belief, just a fundamental belief that you can transcend, are probably two of the key things that youth in those communities struggle with. Now, I should say that within those communities, you'll always find outliers. There's always going to be a couple of kids who are going to get out of there no matter what you throw at them. But we're always thinking around, how do you solve for the bulk, not just the outliers, right?
While many achieve high levels of performance in cycling, the program also offers a variety of academic and leadership-related content.
One of those boys eventually became the first Black South African mountain biker to go to a World Cup, an international World Cup. He's now a professional mountain biker. He's finished a university degree. And he's become, he models for the Coq Sportive. He's become a complete role model, right? The second one of those guys works for one of the top chefs in the country. So what happened was he was on a mountain bike race. He happened to be cycling close to the chef. The chef was taken by his character and how he engaged. They started talking. Eventually, it led to the chef saying, look, let me train you. That guy now runs the meat station in one of the top restaurants in the Johannesburg area, and he's still growing, right? So positive contributors. Actually, anybody can apply themselves. Like, I am a very heavy guy, but I can ride a mountain bike, I can compete in the race, and I can compete against myself. Not against the next guy, but I can achieve something that's good enough for me. And I think when it comes to sport, it does have the ability to teach everyone that, you know what, you really can run your own race. You really can cycle your own race. You really can play your own tennis match. Not all of us will or can be Djokovic or anything like that, but that's not what we're all here to do. We're all here to try and unlock the best potential that's within us. And I think that's probably for me the biggest advantage that sport or physical activity has, particularly in communities that have broken social structures.
What emerges for me is that engaging young people in activities that allow them to track their own progress and show up helps not only the individual, but entire communities. Thank you for watching.